Hey, what's up, everyone? And welcome back to where I discuss my AU plans for Rexel Jet characters. We're going to be taking a little break from standard gauge for a while, just to talk about how a narrow gauge steam engine, or in this case, a mid-soda engine, or I guess you call it a mid-soda engine, depending on what you view it as. Anyways, today I'll be discussing my headcanon for Duchess, Rexel Jet's take on the mine engine. Well, let's get into this. So, like I said, Duchess is Rexel Jet's take on the mine engine, although, except for one thing, he changed the mine engine's basis. Now, just to let you all know, he didn't change the mine engine's basis for the sake of it. There is a reason, and I'll tell you right now. He did this because he heard a headcanon going around that the mine engine could be a George England. You might have caught on to where we're going with this. Now, let me explain this. The mine engine's model indicates that, or in this case, Duchess, as she's called, indicates that she's the number 9. But what if she was actually the original number 2? There had to have been one before Stanley came along. Now, anyways, let me explain this. The Festiniog Railway had two small George Englands called Prince and Princess. And Duke is obviously an elegance to Prince. But what if, like his Welsh analog, he had a twin? And they were the first engines to arrive on the Mid-Soda Railway. But over the years, or months or days, Duchess had seen better days. And the Casnahawan Mining Company, he was looking for a new engine. And to work with them there. So the Mid-Soda Railway sold them their worst condition engine, that's Duchess, by the way, at a knockdown price, and when she arrived, she had the cast iron weights removed. She also had her tender removed, since she would only be traveling small distances. Duke was sorry he to say goodbye to his twin. But they do occasionally meet up at Casnahawan, and every once in a while. And no one is quite exactly sure what happened to Duchess following the closure of the Casnahawan and Mining Company and the mines flooding. We can only assume that he went on to greet passengers now. Anyways, let me discuss my headcanon for her. So, oh boy, where do I begin? Anyways, my headcanon for Duchess is that after the Casnahawan Mining Company closed, she was sent into work in the stone quarry, aka where's their handle, aka Falcon will eventually go. But when she gets there, she has her tender back and can now do what she usually does, just traveling the distances that she normally goes to. And a few months later, she is then told that she is purchased by the Skarloey Railway. Duchess is thrilled. and she and then she is taken by standard gauge rails and then brought to the Skarloey Railway and reunites with her sibling, Duke, at long last. Both were thrilled to see one another and quickly caught up on everything that they missed. Duchess explained what life was like back at the Cassie Holland Mining Company on the Minnesota Rail. And Duke tells Duchess about everything she missed while they were separated. Duchess found every story she heard to be utterly fascinating, and spoke to every other engine and on the Skarloey Railway to see how everyone was doing and getting along. And like Duke, she can be a little bit stern towards younger engines and Maya, but not like completely strict, but just tells them to be like a little bit careful when doing a job. Basically, that kind of grandparent we all really want. What a good character. And that was my headcanon for Duchess. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.